to.
To.
Yeah, what is to?
It's food.
Do you know what to is?
No.
To, the rest. To, ani to.
To. Ani to.
Aoniche, Audanse, welcome to another video in the mini-series focused on complicated sounds and letters for Bambara, Jula and Maninka. So if you're new to this video, just know it's a part of an entire series. There'll be a link down in the description below so you can kind of jump into the whole thing. Ne togoko Coleman, itogoko di.
Ntogoko Marie-Ange.
So Marie-Ange and I today are going to do a little video focused on the sound distinction between O and O, right? So one is the closed looking O and one is called open O if you have to talk about it. This might look backwards when you're on camera, I'm not sure, but I think you get the idea and we'll do a little graphic for you. So in this video, we're gonna jump into that. Marie-Ange, do you have any tips, like for you, was this a tricky sound to, like when you see it written, do you know how to pronounce them?
Yeah. But I feel like it's very hard when it's in the same word. Like, somogo.
Ah,
You know what I
okay,
mean?
okay. So what does somoro mean for everyone?
It means family.
Yeah, it means family, and literally so, right, means house. And if you say somoro, right, that's actually a compound word. So we've taken so, meaning house, and then moro, meaning person.
People, yeah.
So somoro means house person, right? So yeah, in that case, it's a little tricky because
Yeah.
you start one way.
And you finish the other way.
Okay, so for you, do you have any tips for people that are learning Bambara, Jula, Maninka on like how to think of the distinction? Is there something in your head?
So I feel like the closed O is like the French O, I would say. O.
Okay.
In case you don't know how to say it, think about when you're angry and then you're like, oh!
Oh.
Yeah,
oh.
a very expressive O, I would
But
say.
I feel like that O is a little bit of like a French thing when you're mad.
Yeah.
You're like, oh.
Oh.
For English speakers, I feel like maybe I would say it's a little bit like, we don't have a perfect O like that. In French, if you say rose, right? In
Ouais.
English, we would say rose.
It's
But
because of
imagine, think about the
yeah.
French accent. So your typical French accent when they'd be like, I like the rose, the rose. So it has a very closed, so you can actually think the O is actually closed, so your mouth is more closed when you say it. And think about the way that French speakers have a more closed O.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe that is a
Yeah,
good tip.
you can do it with your lips, just like, oh.
Yeah,
Oh.
and then what would you say for the open O one?
Oh. I thought we have oh, like pot in
Yeah,
English.
okay, yeah, so, okay.
Oh, like if you see like a cute baby, oh.
Oh, yeah, but a little bit more rounded, right? So, oh.
Yeah, and then shorter, oh.
Yeah, oh. All right, so I also have one other tip in mind, and this is specifically for English speakers. I kind of had to think about it. You would say row, like to row your boat. You can say row, and your mouth really kind of makes like a circle, and then, yeah, it's closed.
Yeah.
But then we also have wrought. Like, what have I wrought, right? It's kind of a fancy word to say, like, what have you brought about for yourself, right? What has God wrought? But row, wrought, is kind of the distinction. If you just think about row, but you make it a little bit more round, row, and then you have wrought, and your mouth kind of opens up wider.
Yeah.
So I feel like those two, I don't know if you can do it.
Row and raw.
Yeah, so it kind of gets at the general sound. Can you think of two examples in Bambara, Jula, or Maninka that kind of show the distinction?
Oh, we have muso,
Mm-hmm. Which
O.
one is that?
the closed O.
Uh-huh,
Muso, meaning woman.
Mm-hmm.
And then ani soroma, so.
Yeah,
Soroma.
soroma. Ani
Yeah.
soroma. Ani soroma. So yeah, you don't want to say ani soroma.
Ani
You wanna-
soroma.
Yeah, don't say ani soroma. You want to say ani soroma.
Soroma.
Uh-huh.
Just for Anglophone speakers, like when you say O, once again, it's a diphthong, meaning that two sounds merge in one sound. So O, you need to cut the last part of the sound. So it's just like O.
Row.
Yeah,
you
row.
don't want to go row. Because
Yeah.
that's two vowels.
Yeah.
You want it to be
Ro.
row.
Yeah.
It's like you
It's just the O. Yeah.
Okay, I like that tip. All right, so I have a specific example in mind of two words that are basically the same except for the vowel. I don't know if, can you think of a minimal pair? Linguists call them minimal pairs. It means two words that are exact same except for one sound. Do you have any in mind?
I'm not sure.
I did research for
I
it,
feel
so.
like
The example that I had and I wanted to focus on specifically was, do you know like, I imagine you know what it is, like to.
to.
Yeah, what is to?
It's food.
Yeah, what kind of food is it? Can you explain it for the
Ah,
audience?
But it's not
You
Ivorian.
can show it on screen. But
Yeah, it's like a comme une pâte, no?
Yeah,
To.
yeah. So it's kind of, there's something in French they call it une pâte. Sometimes in English, I think the Nigerians and Ghanaians and stuff, the English speakers of West Africa, sometimes they even call it swallow
Swallow.
because it's just like the stuff that you swallow, like you put
Yeah,
into
to.
sauce.
Yeah.
But so, anyways, it's like any starch that's pounded.
Yeah.
And then it becomes like a corn jello that you like.
And
dish into a
I think in
sauce.
Ivory Coast it looks like placali.
All right, so we have to.
To.
But then we also have to.
To.
Do you know what to is?
No.
So to means the West African swallow, the food we were talking about, but then to actually means the rest. So
The rest.
the remainder
Okay.
of something. So for instance, you would say to ani to.
To. No. To. Ani to.
So that was the minimal pair that I came up with. Do you have any other last tips or questions or something that's not clear?
No. Oh, these two sounds very short.
So in general, like in Bambara and Jula and Maninka, right, any word can be, any vowel can be lengthened. So we
Yeah.
can have words that have the short form or the long form. So the classic example of lengthening, for instance, is the word bara, meaning work, right? We also have bara,
Yeah.
which would be a dance floor. But in the examples that I give you, the reason that they sound a little bit longer, like to and to, is actually because of the tone. So
Okay.
it's one vowel. And when we write it, we'll put it up on screen. But the tone, because it goes low, high, you can hear in my voice, it goes like a down, up,
Yeah.
like
To.
to. The tone stretches out the vowel. But in those words, you'll see them when they're written on screen. They're still just written T-O or T open O. But yeah, you have a good ear and you can actually hear that it sounds longer.
Yeah, longer.
But that's just because the tone needs space.
Yeah.
So you kind of artificially make it longer.
But when you use these words, would you say it like that? To. Or would you say just say to?
There are contexts in, this is where it really gets into the tone thing. For instance, you might say atomancha. So that just means its rest, its remainder is not a lot, but it doesn't sound like atomancha.
Oh, yeah.
Atomancha.
That sounds so weird. Okay, cool.
But in
Atomancha.
citation form, it sounds very apparent, like ato. So I'm kind of, you can almost think this is like
Exaggeration,
exaggerations,
okay.
right? So you want to do it once for us?
Atomancha.
Atomancha.
Atomancha. This is open or closed?
Yeah, that's open.
Open.
And then if you want to, how would you say there's not a lot of swallow?
I don't know.
Tomancha.
Tomancha. Okay, so tomancha, and then my pronunciation is so bad.
Okay, one more time. Let's do it with swallow.
Tomancha, and then tomancha.
Aywa, so I think that does it for this video. If you like this video, think about giving us a thumbs up. You can also leave a comment if you have a question or if you just want to encourage us. If you really like this video, you can become a patron of Ankata. And then Marie-Ange is also a PhD researcher doing research about African theater. So there'll be a link down to her project or her Instagram in the description below. And otherwise, auniche, aukambe.
Kambe. To.
Hold
Hold
and
on.
that kind of stretches it out.
This is annoying. Because we couldn't hear you. Should I ask my question again?
I don't know. We had some trash that appeared on screen, sorry.
Yeah, and it was annoying me.
Okay.